Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above it all, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself and life will be sweet again, so sweet again. Above it all, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go, let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again.
We got some backs and we got all those things. Hello there, this is James True speaking. I have got a lot of technical things to see if they work. So this is a good little warm-up. It's been months and months since I've embarked on the live stream. And here we are again, my friends. Happy Monday. Good morning to you all. It is Monday, March 11th. I do realize I'm not on the screen yet. I'm actually putting my socks on. You know, I might go no socks today. Maybe no socks Monday. Might be working, but yeah, I'm still doing some dials. Bonjour, Mel. Hello, Tony B. Hello, Zarelith. Hello, In and Out of the Abyss. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Hello, Paul Atreides. Atreides. Happy Monday, Wednesday. Have you guys got... heard about the new book yet? Did you hear about that? Did you hear about that? Did you? Wait, is this? Oh, there's one. Look how fancy James is. And there's the other. Yeah. Did you guys you get the book? I probably talked a lot about the book. I know. It's just you work hard. You work hard, and you want people to say, dude, that guy works hard. No, actually, I just think you'll enjoy it. And yeah, there's some cool stuff to talk about. One of those things was going to be a show that I was going to do today at 4 o'clock, and I can't. It's just too juicy. There's some more. I'm still reading. I'm rereading the Illiad, and it's taking me a while. And the reason why it's taking me a while is because, yeah, I'm going to have a confession to make. First of all, is the audio good? Let me know if the audio is good. Hello, Stationary Pizza. Good to see you. Voice. Oh, okay, good. Voice is reverberating. Thanks for the feedback. Let me see what is causing that. We thank you so much, guys. I bet you it's. Okay, so I really appreciate this. I bet. Whoops. Whoop. Okay, I bet right now. There's probably none of that. Everything's probably clear here. I will tell you about the book, Tony. Hey, thanks for helping me out here, guys. Emmanuel, appreciate that. Voice reverberating, and then let me see this little. So I've got Mike. There we go. I bet you there's no echo now. Avocado. If the word avocado is not echoing for you, then I have solved the problem, and I appreciate you helping me out. Mo better now. Is that pre or post avocado, Emmanuel? Because I jumped all around, and I bet you that. Let me know post avocado. This is what you have to do when you're debugging live streams. Is you have to insert words that only you would know if you heard it, right? So there's post avocado sound is good. But yeah, I will tell you about the book. Last June, actually it goes way back. This goes way back. This goes back to, I'd say at Blueprints of Mind Control, I wrote. I'm trying to remember the story. Yeah, it's probably That's it. Leviathan. Kronos beget Leviathan. That was it. It was a short story I wrote. It was a column I wrote. And I just so when you first start to write, your imagination is only going to be so good as far as you can hold. Remember when you were a kid? Some of you still do this. Hey, freaking hats off to you. Let me strike that. Remember when you're a kid? No. Remember when you're a kid when this was just a lot more prevalent? Most of you are in massive play right now. Some of you are like, I'm an accountant, right? And that's freaking great. Seriously. I'm a business owner. So I I do a lot of imagining like that too, you know. I'm gonna go hire him a biff. Let's see how that does. I'm going to purposely only put on one sock because that would be the Hiram Abiff thing to do. And as you all know, I'm a Freemason CIA motherfucker. And so, the Kronos beget Leviathan started with this. That feels weird with one sock on. Hey, if anyone else wants to take off one sock right now, we could have this weird sort of... Oh, thank you, Steve. Only one of you took that seriously. The rest of you are now making jokes about bananas and papayas. And you know what? I don't appreciate it, Eve. I'm just kidding. That's cute. I think we need more fruit in the chat, personally. I think more fruit would help. So, Kronos Begat Leviathan was a book I wrote. And maybe we don't need to practice this. Yeah. So, it's a book I wrote. Column I wrote about ancient AI. And that's a cool topic, but I want to talk about the creative idea of being a writer, because when you were a kid, see how distracted I got by putting one sock on? Like, wow. But this is a live stream, so it's totally cool. You guys are probably doing your own thing. One of you right now is like doing a lot. You're like multitasking. I'm one of 17 things that's happening in your purview. And I'm okay with that. So, the idea of holding the imagination for a longer period of time is tricky business. You may think that it's the easiest thing in the world. You may think that, well, no, that would be the default, because as a kid, that's how I had it. And I think as a kid, that's the closest you can ever find to having a hindbrain ruling your entire life. Like back then. You would animize into, different characters throughout the day, right? I was Man, I was Chewbacca a lot. It was a lot of Chewbacca. That dude's still my favorite. He's a good egg. Misunderstood a lot. Chewbacca does not have hair on his underarms. I don't know if you guys understand the importance of this, that the creature that all of us associate with is like the massive Sasquatch. The only part of their body that they do not have hair, and I'm getting ready to tell you another part of Chewbacca that you guys probably didn't want to know, but Chewbacca has no hair on his balls either. His balls and his underarms, no hair at all. Inside of Chewbacca's nose, there's no hair. Chewbacca, you may not know this, does not have eyebrows. That if you were to lift that up, you would see a bald spot. I know Chewbacca. He's okay with me telling you this, but only if, I was going to say only if you buy my book, but that'd be shitty. That wouldn't be. I heard a rumor. I'm not even gonna spread that rumor about Chewbacca that I heard. So, okay, look, we got some eggplant. That's great. All right, and we got some one sockers going on. So, the how do you hold imagination for a while? And I used to think it was related to the toy. Remember that phase? There was a time when die-cast jets were like, oh, dude, that was so easy. The weight of that jet, I think probably because it was made out of lead. Who knows, right? Probably lead. Let's be honest, it was lead. It was lead. It was totally lead, and it had like an outer coating, which made us all feel safe. And I'm cool with that. Most of the fishing I did was with lead. Most of the things that we did as children is a lot of, hey, you gonna eat this paint? No, I got a fishing weight, and I got a die-cast plane. So you rush the plane through your backyard, right? And you were in massive play. The weight of that plane really helps. Like, it really helps. When I see actors pretending to lift something heavy, I feel sorry for them. I'm like, man, it's too bad that they couldn't, put more weight in there, because you can tell. And, and now we're in this weird superhero phase where like a 4'11" person is just as strong as like the Hulk, which is just fascinating. It's kind of like defrauds the whole Hulk thing. It's, that's interesting. So, wow. So Chewbacca received a medal, but now the scene doesn't exist. Yeah. Now he's been changed to Wookiee, and according to this reality, it's always been Wookiee. Oh yeah. That's if you believe that your reality is outside of yourself. Yes, that's exactly right. Yes. And one of the beautiful things about that idea is that we're clinging to our memory. We're saying the memory is infallible. Therefore, the world must have cracked. And I think this is adorable. I think this is probably the most steadfast immunity response you could have to touching your phonological loop. Because I think when we really look at the fractures that we see in our world, we're really looking deep at the phonological loop of how our memory works. In fact, me and Renee were talking about this today, about Maat, the Egyptian, the goddess of all the boobies, and the boobies are stars, and that someone had made a eloquent comment about Thoth yesterday, and I think the consort of Thoth would be Maat, is the gist of their point. Not to put words in their mouth, but this idea that Thoth is piercing the sky, and that sky would be the constellations in your mind, and that by writing to your neurons, by having a memory, right, Thoth would need a writing instrument to write upon. And so when we look at the mandala effect, we are looking directly at the naked body of Maat, of the Egyptian Maat, M-A-A-T, I think. And this is exactly Shiva. Yeah, I didn't mean to. I was more singling out the idea, by the way. It's really good to see you, by the way. This idea of Maat is really it's kind of like the, wow. If you take the story of Osiris and you look at the mandala effect, then the mandala effect would just be, I don't mean just in a reduction way. I mean, it would be the exact emanation of the breaking of Osiris, but the breaking of Mot. Some of you might say Mot. Some of you might say Mot. I bet back then it was more like Mot. And like Egyptian, man, it's probably like a lot more like guttural, a lot more camelish, which is actually kind of related to what we're going to talk about Friday. The philologist. Don't go into this, James. Don't go into this now. Don't go into this now. But let me just tell them this one little word, James. Don't do it, James. Don't do it. You're just going to ruin the whole idea, because if you save it, it's going to be so much better. It's like, I know, but I just want to share on this one thing. Just this one word, James. Come on. Let me just share on the Sprachenschrie. Let me just share on that. Okay, we are going to undisassociate, turn into a singular person again, and we're back. So, Sprachschrie. Amel maybe can even help you guys phonetically speak. This is a German word. And this, I don't even know if this is a common German word. So honestly, someone tell me if you know. If you've ever heard of this term, or if, I get that sprechen, right? I know that sprechen Sie Deutsch is, speak. So I know that sprach, I can see the word speak in there. And then I'm guessing schrei must mean scream. So it's like, yeah, so speech, skria must mean screen. So you've got this Sprachen Scree, which really is at the birth of all language. According to this guy named Geiger, by the way, Lazarus Geiger, and you're going to have to watch this presentation on Nobody Sees Blue. And I would have been doing that today, but I just need more time. And I figured it was a good time to just, does the stream work? Because Friday I had a problem with the internet connection, and somebody's come out and fixed the modem. And so this is all good. But this concept of Sprachschrie is according to Lazarus Geiger, is the first birth of language. The first use of the spoken word came from this idea. Oh, okay, not coming. And there's a dude, if you guys want to look him up. And this guttural thing is the reason why we speak. That a long time ago, a pain emanated, of a force in the world emanated in some way, and you reacted, or we reacted by going, Grr! And this is part of why I'm late. I just could not, I really wanted to know what Geiger was saying. This was fascinating to me, what he was saying. That the moment man said, Grr! like made a cry, is the very first birth of a new frontier. The discovery that the man felt in the light of his own voice activated and unlocked and unsealed this new key that was not there before. And that Geiger was not coming at this from a religious, he wasn't like, oh, I love words so much that I'm going to... This was a very backwards engineered process, which is part of what I want to do a more eloquent presentation about, honestly. Because before there was philosophy, there was philology, this love of logos, which is just love of words. Just love of words. So this gospelist who was doing what only Google Books is now doing in our current life, which is it's giving you a summary matrix of how many times a word has been used in ancient literature. And when you first hear this concept, you might find that almost trivial. You might go, well, why would that matter? But this is everything. In my opinion, this is everything. And this is this is reason number 16 trillion why I'm siding with AI over the retard that's like, AI is going to come kill. It's like, I know he's going to come kill you. I know. But you said the same thing about scissors. You said the same thing. And now we have all these lies because people like you freaked out about scissors a long time ago. So now we have these government agencies that are insisting that climate change is going to kill us all and that we have to draft your children and we got to cut off the end of your kid's penis a long time ago because you were afraid of scissors. Okay. So I get it. But reason 1 million why I love AI is because AI, as long as humans don't fuck with it, is going to give you this texture map that quite frankly, you're never going to be able to build. You're not going to find enough Geigers, enough of this dudes who's going to spend that much free time building you a map of every textured word that you can see. So you can see what was the bell curve of this word? When did it come into being in our language? And that trivialness goes away when you start to notice when concepts are invented. You start to notice this. And when you start to notice that when concepts are invented, you really have no more ability to cling to the side of the pool and insist that, just like Shiva said, the reality is no longer in quotes. Or he didn't say that, but like back when the reality was no longer in quotes. This concept of all of us are in tune and all of us have always seen the same thing. This is a big part of why we don't understand ourselves. This is a big part of why you don't understand your parents. Big part of why I don't understand my parents, I'll put myself in that too, is that I'm constantly having to remind myself that these people did not see the color blue. And I mean this more as a generality right now, because I know my parents saw blue. But when you look at the birth of the blues, there's something about the blues. I'm talking about the music of the blues, right? Oh, James is streaming again. And I got the blues. I liked it better when he wasn't here because he didn't threaten my views. Oh, he's putting on his sock. And the reason why we liked this blues, I think it's because we learned to appreciate a kind of vibration that was sad. We learned to find in Hades, hey, this shit's sad over here. And we're like, yeah, it's so good. We found each other in how sad we saw things. And this is really at the ultimate reason why drama has two masks. Why there's a happy face and a sad face, right? That those two extremes are because we finally discovered the other side of that, is what I'm saying. And so we have a fondness for the blues, and we don't even quite understand that. And one of the things that Geiger was doing, this Lazarus Geiger, was like when was that guy around? I think it was 1809, but it might have been, let's see, Lazarus Geiger. There he is. 1829 to 1870. German Jewish philosopher and philologist, and died at 41. Was fascinated with, not just with language, but noticed something that was not his idea, but he continued on the work of others, and they just kept noticing how these colors weren't there. But we will discuss that on Friday, because I've mentioned this before, but I think it really does deserve a lot more slides so you can see which colors, why those colors didn't work out. I've got 21 slides here that all need art, so I'll be preparing that for you guys. We are still going to do an airship today, because I'd already planned that, and the patrons. Yeah, so that's a patron thing if you want to check that out, or if you're a season 5 pass holder. But maybe I should finish what I was saying about the book, because when I wrote that short story, it's maybe 1,500 pages, and I loved that story, and I kept trying to expand it. And it was never about the story wasn't believable. It was about it was so fantastically large that I didn't know how to put it onto paper. And when you have a main character that's a supernatural character, I think you end up with this kind of Marvel syndrome, which I think is a problem. I think it's a huge problem. I think that, God, how do I say this without being vulgar? if you're Hollywood and you pad your breasts and you stuff paper in them, and then you go out and people are like, wow, your breasts are really good, I'm going to go see your movie. Then the next time you make a movie, you're going to pad your breasts. And then eventually you're going to normalize, like everyone's going to be doing that, right? And then you're going to start padding your ass. And then everyone will start doing that. And then you're going to start maybe, injecting things like in your lips and stuff, maybe. I don't know. And because, then everyone's going to do that. Then you're going to color your hair and, and just maybe starve yourself or change your name or maybe do some things inappropriately to get like a part or something. You get it. This is a capacitor of self-worth. And so you enter into Hollywood and you extract your own self-worth, hoping that the vacuum that you created by extracting your self-worth is enough to pull the piston to pull more self-worth in, right? And this is called being famous. Used to be called, believe it or not, it used to be called it's not melanin, but it looks just like it. Melamim. I wish I could find that. It's a really interesting concept. Let's see if I can find it. I bet I have it here. It was this Sumerian idea. This Sumerian idea of melanin, I'm saying it wrong, was a kind of glow. It was this vibe. And then a long time ago, this vibe was so tangibly important, probably because it was discovered. And probably what happened is that we discovered this vibe of kings. And it wasn't just kings had it. It was all things that were powerful, whether good or bad, had this sense of I wish I could find it. It's let me see. James here's making some noise for you so you can wait, 'cause I think it's worth it, dude. Yeah. This vibration, Sumerian cultures had it, and typically a king was bestowed this essence. He bestowed this essence, and it was felt tangibly by others in fear. That when you feared this thing, you felt this sense of what was coming. And so people were characterizing this for the very first time. People had discovered this feeling that they didn't really have it before. And this really was I think the birth of Baal, of Lord. Anyone who is considered in charge is probably going to be someone who is good at hunting or is good at safety, building a palisade, and that you just end up noticing this essence, this electricity they had. It's charisma, isn't it? It's charisma. And that at the birth of charisma, everyone was talking about charisma and they gave it a name. And that as we, it actually is deeper than charisma, because it really there was no difference between like good or bad. So it was intimidation and charisma. Those words were combined into this. And it's a tangible force. When you are in imagination land, when you were playing, when you go out as a child and you meet another child and that child is playing, you decide if you want to play with them, or you decide if if you want to ask them if they want to play with you. And I'm asking you to consider, who does that math? Is this the ego when there's not even a frontal cortex that's been developed yet? Is it truly the ego, or is it this deeper iapetus, this deeper prana economy? This is why I come up with these words, because I think about these things as children, and it probably what happens the most is that the child who seems to have the most torque in their story seems to be the one that dictates what we're going to play. And that, I think, is very similar to a goose, right? That when you were following the lead, the gander, you were following the point. Who is the apex goose? It's going to be the one that has the most, or seems to convey the most aerodynamicity through the force of, check it out, through the force of stillness. Because the goose wants to take his flock to a destination. This is play. The goose is playing that we will pass the border. None of us will have passports. We will fly over the Canadian border. No one will say a fucking word. In fact, people will stop and gawk at us. And we will travel to a distant land and find a lake that none of you have ever seen. And that there's certain goose that might have been there, but truly so many of the geese that are on that flight have never even been there. They don't even know where they're going. In fact, they're all assuming that there's some black family of goose at the front that's in charge. And that's going to make everyone feel better. So even if you insist that the government is run by evil people, all you're really doing is just giving the belief to the storytellers, because you just want to believe in the lake, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You're pacing that goose who believes he can get there. And that belief requires you to carve through all of the quantum witness. I'm talking about the atmosphere would be witnessing you. The quantum witness that says, well, if you're going to have to get there, you're going to have to come through me. You're going to have to come through me. You're going to have to come through me, right? And so if you have enough torque, you're going to be able to carve through that and place the same thing. You are living in 1985. You are condensing yourself into a lead die-cast plane that does have retractable wings, so you've got that going for you. And just that is really all you need. And as long as those wings work somehow reliably, your imagination is able to fishhook into this nebulous food and gain footing. And you can, retracting wings, and the sounds that you are making are filling the space between the notes of this tangible thing that you're allowed to play. And you're draping your play. You're draping this word. Man, it'd be cool if I could find this word. You're draping that word, and that word is malleable and tangible, and people feel it. Lazarus, the Geiger dude, if you're just joining us, this philologist, good morning all if you're just joining us, is telling you that just like the F-11 Tomcat, the die-cast that you can spread the wings out on, just like that is allowing you to play, that is going to get you to a lake that was not there before, that when you say, gah, right? Or when you say, gah, or when you say, ugh, that the speaking of those terms gave early man a tangible foothold to move things. And that the first moment that he began to do those things, language was not invented, it was revealed. And Geiger has separated, this is why it took longer, because I was like, what is he doing that? He did something no other linguist had done, at least from far as I can gather. I'm not a philologist, so maybe don't even try and quote me on this, but he told you that the meaning and the sound of the words really did not have as much to do with them, with each other, as we intrinsically thought. That the guttural feeling that you get from a word and the tangible meaning that we extract from the word are two separate vectors that really evolve. And here's the big thought. It's not that, well, language evolves. That's easy. Yeah, because ga and then gaga and ga, right? You could see how that would work and that we would we get that. But the evolution of it, Geiger is saying, is actually kind of backwards. The moment that we say ga, we actually uncover a cabinet that did not exist before that has canned goods in it that we did not fucking put there. And that those canned goods are allowing you to find a fractal. It's the best word I can come up with when I'm talking about the evolution here, because when you're in a fractal, you're really never anywhere. You're all places. When you are witnessing the Paisley burst of a fractal, you are neither zoomed out or zoomed in. You are in one place, and that one place is showing you almost the entirety of the Mandelbrot, but it would only show you the entirety if you were able to decode the formula that was there. And so by looking at a fractal, you would be able to understand, oh my God, I'm inside a fractal, holy shit. And you would know that because you could reconstruct that fractal in your simulated mind or on a computer. You could write some code and say, okay, here we go. And then you could program the fractal, and then you could run it, and then you would hold it up to your world, and oh my God, it's the same. Holy shit. This is pretty good evidence that I'm living in a fractal, right? And that when we do this, we are saying, "Gah." This is what's so cool. Is it everything that we've ever been doing is just simply finding footholds in our belief. Just finding this ability to say or express something that allows us to find more leverage or discover something that was not there, if that makes sense. So, this is a big deal. I think even more so because when we study brains that have never had the ability to find language, we do not discover atrophy. And this is a massive slap in the face of evolution. Everything that we understand about the brain, not just the brain, everything that we understand, even our right? Even the smell center I've been talking about a lot lately, that as soon as you're born, it dries up and falls off. It doesn't fall off, but I'm just saying all of the glands that are in there, there's a lot of fucking neurons. There's like 6 million neurons that are in the top of your mouth that die because you refuse to witness them. And when you're born, you're like, I don't want you. This is going to hurt. If I could smell the entire world through my mouth, I would not have any fun here. That's what your body says. And your body was convinced that by your mom. And your mom, she knows what's best for you. She does. Starting out, she knows what's best. She knows what's going on. So she's telling you, yeah, you need to cut your nose off. Cut your nose to spite your face. She's telling you that. And so you're born, and the first thing you do is you stop receiving data from this gland on the top of your mouth, and you stop smelling through your mouth, and it stops. It stops not because you're squeezing and saying, I refuse you. You're stopped because you just ignore it. If you were to get up every day and say, I hate that I have smell on the top of my mouth. I hate that I have smell on the top of my mouth. I hate that I have smell on the top of my mouth. Well, you'd still have smell on the top of your mouth, right? Welcome to politics. This is literally how politics works, right? So if you want to cleanse yourself of that, you will do what you did when you were born. You developed apathy for it. And the apathy led to atrophy, but not language. Not language. This is hard-coded somewhere. I say somewhere because if you're right-handed, oh God, I could be wrong about this. It's one or the other. I can say it without being wrong. Yeah. Here I am trying to, yeah. But it's better this way because then you're not hearing something that could be wrong. The handedness of you also determines which side of your brain is going to handle language. And so the dominant or the receptive side of your brain is going to decide, I'm going to be the one that has this, and it never stops. It never shuts down. It needs that from the moment it's born. It needs that even though it's not using it for a long, long time. How is that possible? Well, James, because they're hearing language. Yeah, we used to think that. I know. It's such a beautiful answer. Well, because yeah, but then you have these cases. You have these cases where people were lost for years, or certain sort of brain issues were stopping certain things, or just a myriad of things that are suggesting it's actually not that way, that there's a candle that's burning inside your language center at all times, and there's no way you can shut it off, even if you cut it off. And so the atrophy is impossible in certain parts of you, and that's not evolution so much as that's hard-coded in some other way. It doesn't mean that those aren't the same. I'm not an anti-evolutionist. I'm an anti-creation through evolutionist, just because it just doesn't add up. That's all. It's not that it's not a more advanced way of looking at it, because I do think that it gets us closer. But one of the biggest issues I see with evolution is linear insistence. We've insisted that the only way the world could be here is through a linear nature. And so we're finding, especially now with quantum mechanics, I think, but even long before that, long before that, we kept noticing that this linear thing is flawed. And we said, no, double down. And we do. And now we're stuck now where people like me are saying, hey, maybe there's an oracle in mythology. Maybe the wisdom of the crowd is transferred through the workings of the Illiad, because would be the only one of the few squeeze tubes that we would have from that era. And so by looking at the squeeze tube through that era, wouldn't that just be expressing the same truths that we would know now? But they'd be expressing them from ignorance. So we could reverse engineer what we know now from what they did not know then, do a little subtraction, and boom, we now have a fractal. I just showed you the fractal. Take what we know now. Take that belief over here, build a vector for each word, go back to, this is why we have philology, go back to the Greeks, take all their words, build a vector math, do subtraction. What the fuck's left? And what's left will tell you something, but you know what will tell you even more? Is what came and went. What came and went. And one of the things that came and went was this charisma. One of the things that came and went was the fucking color blue. Not even kidding. What I'm about to tell you has not been in any books or in Wikipedia. I'll bring it up again Friday, so don't worry about it. It won't be part of the presentation. But I, James True, have noticed this blue thing before I read about the blue thing. Here's what I mean. In Africa, there is a story of creation's daughter, and she's mad about a sweet potato. Something going on with sweet potato. She's kind of having a bad day with the sweet potato, and she's eating her dinner. There's a little scuffle, right? She kind of misbehaves, and her sweet potato's in the fire too long, and I think her mother takes the sweet potato and throws it up in the air and says, fine, you can't have it. And then she throws the sweet potato up in the air, and the sky turns to this red and white striped menagerie. And that's the birth of the Milky Way. And I'm reading this, and I'm just like, oh, that's fascinating. And then I was just like, that's kind of weird. It's weird for two reasons. The first reason is that I think that most people, I don't have to think this. I know that if I go to Google right now and I say Milky Way, okay, and I hit enter, And I look at the images of the Milky Way. Let me see if I can do this. I see blue. I see a lot of blue. I see nothing but blue. Milky Way is blue. Blue, 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 blue. Yeah, there's definitely red. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to get an argument here. Okay. But the concept of the Milky Way is a blue, it is a blue concept. It's blue. But the story is that it's red and white. And because patrons allow me to read, I remembered Mixcoatl. And I was like, oh my God, Mixcoatl is red and white. The dude's all about red and white. And when you go back to red and white, he goes, because everyone was sowed in the beds of red and white, the fields, the rust belt of America. Mixcoatl, his body is the red and white stripes of America, believe it or not. Mixcoatl is at least an Aztec god, I'll say that. At the very least, an Aztec creation god. One of the bigger ones, one of the guys that was sort of like gave birth to Quetzalcoatl or Quetzalcoatl, you know, whatever, and all the other different guys, and that Mixcoatl at the top is this interesting cosmos god that was expressed in red and white. And it was always like, what were they? In my mind, I'm like, what are they looking at? What is it that they're seeing that's red and white? And this has stumped me for a long time, long before this blew. This is why I think you should read my book. Have you bought my book? I have a book out. It's called Black Eye Club. It's fucking fabulous. Seriously. I walked by the book the other day. I had an orgasm. It's that good. It's such a good book. It is so freaking good. It's so good. I really mean that. But you need to buy it right now. Let's put a link in there. This is why I should be doing this. This is literally, I wouldn't need patrons if I would do this more. Like, our patrons could save their money and spend it on other things. And it's such a good book. And so there's these two. Here you go, guys. Here you go. Someone tell me you bought my book today. It'd be great. Please tell me that. And so this red and white idea is because we couldn't see blue. The science, the ophthalmology, it's not just mythology. It's not, there's nothing guessing at all about this. And we'll be covering this in a larger presentation because there's a lot of indigenous tribes that really back up what I'm saying. When you reverse engineer Hades, you really see really well why they had this mythology, why they were treating this idea of blue as a hidden world. Where did that come from? Why were they doing that? And more importantly, why were the Egyptians the first to be able to see this? What is it about an Egyptian that understands blue before anyone else? I think Geiger, and I'll show you 3 philologists on Friday that think this, but for different reasons. And I want you to see why each of them think that this is for different reasons. Because one of them's just really uptight, and he's been labeled as a racist. Anyone who has any thoughts at all about evolution, it has to be a racist, by the way. Like, it's hilarious to me that we're playing this game still. But it also makes a lot of sense because it's just showing you this deeper prawn economy. If you take back where we've been and where we are now, and you just do a little subtraction, you end up with 2 things. 1, you end up with permanence, what's the same? And 2, you end up with impermanence, what's different? And this is what blows you away. And we will eventually, all of us will be looking at the same things I'm looking at now in times a million. And the culture that's coming upon us is demanding more And the one after that's demanding even more. And these things will simply be just standard knowledge. And this one I'm saying will be boring. But right now we're in this threshold where this stuff is still too profound to even really consider. Thank you, Eric Holmes. Thank you for buying my book. Thank you. Let me know what you think. I think you guys are going to love it, because when I think about coming here and being a magician, I'm talking about coming to hell. I'm sorry. Sorry, some of you guys aren't there yet. When I think about coming here to Earth, beautiful place. I love this place. When I call it hell, I mean this in an endearing way. I just know a lot of you guys are not ready to hear that. It's weird, though. You're like, Simpsons, no problem. Literally got his first start writing a comic strip called Life in Hell. You guys are fine with that, but, oh, James, don't you talk about Hades. Oh, my God. Life in Hades, bad. Life in Hell, hilarious. So, this nuance that we have is hallucination. Hallucination is plasma that's extracted for the purposes of imagination. This comes down to imagination now. And when you reverse engineer what is imagination, it is how easy can you believe this story? And then we start to pick apart, okay, well, let's analyze the story. And certainly a lot of us are like, how rationally factual is this? And that we've left the dock of that's the only thing that makes something float. Is it rationally believable by everyone? And so if you imagine a shipyard, there are ships that are made out of cork. There are ships made out of concrete, believe it or not. There are ships made out of wood. There are ships made out of floating dirt. There are ships made out of bamboo. And all these ships are going to have advantages and disadvantages, and which one's better and which one's worse, and you don't know. And the first thing you ask is how well does it float? And we are not actually able to see if something floats. We're able to see whether or not we can survive. These are different things. I know they sound the same. We're not actually able to tangibly notice if something floats or not. We're having a relationship with our information without actually seeing the information. And this is profound, and it exists inside everything we do. It's not even novel. And I think this is what makes it good. I'm telling you that the essence of science is imagination. I'm not saying that imagination is more important than, no, I'm saying that the essence, this is not an Einstein quote. You hear the difference? The essence of all of these things is imagination, and the essence of imagination is belief. And the constructs of belief do not require that there's necessarily do not always, and most of the time can disprove this, do not rely solely on a rational majoritarian belief in something. And that you and I built a church out of the idea that if enough of us believe in the same thing, and you can go to Wikipedia and look it up, then that means it's rational and it's true. And I just think because see, I use Wikipedia too. And I think that's important to say, if we can find something on Wikipedia, you're going to have a lot more belief in that. The same way if you go out on the street and say, I believe in X equals 4, and people say, we're going to burn your fucking children for saying that, it is going to make it harder for you to believe. And that both those systems are playing in the same sandbasket, which is that our castle will stand as long as everyone who looks at it agrees that it's a sandcastle. And that this is science. This is what we call science. And you can't tell me I'm wrong because I have the scientific method that proves what I'm saying. The scientific method proves what I just told you. It's not the other way around. And the fact that we are parading Piltman, right? Remember the hog jawbone that we found and we said this is the missing link? And see, I don't think that means that the missing link is invalid. I think that we as beliefitarians would need to construct a missing link, and so we are, and so we did. And so before we had one, we made up one. We said it's this jaw from a fucking hog. And people wanted to believe it so long that for 60 years, the Museum of London, the most prestigious museum that existed during the 19th century told you, showed you a fraud, and you can't say it was an accident. This is clergy, okay? And it's okay. I'm not here. I'm the only one here that's telling you this is based off belief, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You get more. You get more this way, okay? This nebulous voxels. So a pixel, right, would be like a two-dimensional square, and a voxel would be a three-dimensional square. So this voxel, and then take voxel and make it by one more dimension. That's all it takes. Now you have the physical medium of this place. And all of its vibration, the same way that when you look at your screen, you're just looking at depends, right? Electron gun or a phosphorus burst of electricity in a place, so a vibration. And that these vibrations work the same way music does. None of you can tangibly hold the first four notes of Bach in your fingers. You cannot hold that. You can feel it in your mind, you can believe it, you can write on it, and there's nothing tangible about it. And so when you're listening to a music, you're listening to someone imaginating, and the essence of the imagination is able to transcend language because it's built out of what? Vibration. Voxels. They're not really voxels, but voxels allow you to see them. When you run your fingers through the ocean because you're dipping over the side of your boat as you're moving, you're not wet. You're feeling the essence of what it would be like, but the moment that you were to be fully submerged in that, to be the most wet you could be, you would not be able to touch wetness anymore. That the closest you were going to come to being wet is by running your fingers through the water as you hang off the boat and you're dry. That the dryness of the world allows you to touch that which is wet. So, scientific method is giving you this torque that you need to believe. And when you start to question this, people are going to get really mad. I don't really care. Because when you keep uncovering Geiger and all this other stuff, you just start to see that there's the evidence is more in there's even more torque when you open up the gates and start to look this way. There's actually even more information that you can rely on and go, oh my God, it has to work this way. And when I say it has to, I know that these are not voxels. I know that I'm coming as close to touching them as I can. But if I utilize the witness of every word that's ever been spoken. This is what a philologist would do. He's simply trying to witness how many times was blue used a long time ago? How many times was green used a long time ago? Which cultures in their earliest writing was sentence structure? Right? We know that every culture builds sentences. We do. And reading the Illiad, I now just want to bitch slap the Grammarly program that tries to tell me, James, the sentence is too long. It's not too long. The sentences that Homer was putting out would last for fucking pages. It's just nothing but commas and 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 period. And that kind of meter and that kind of rhyme was them attempting to see how much flux, how much can I get off of your belief. And all of this happened because of the phonological loop. The audience was secretly telling Homer the entire time, 4 4 4 5 4 4 4 5 4 4 4 5 4 4 4 5. And Homer was doing what I was doing. He probably wasn't listening. He's probably like, I don't know what you guys talk about. I'm going to give you 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, and everyone's just like, I'm trying to follow. But can one of you just fucking come up with this 4 4? And you know what? pop music was invented. 145. G, C, D, C, D, C, D, G, 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 C, D, C, G, 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 C, D. This is most songs because we started to notice that we could find more torque if all of us were building off the same rhythm, because each of us could look at what the other person did with that rhythm and go, if you can do that with rhythm, then I can do more. And this is running a 4-minute mile. I know I reference this a lot, but it's true. The moment you know, this proves it more than anything else. The first time it was heard that an Olympic athlete won a 4-minute mile, someone in high school did it a month later. And that this tendency to solve is always based on a massive quantum equation that all of us are somehow connected to. And that the moment we find a way in, it's no different than an ant. You know, there's a million ants not a million, but 100,000 ants in an ant farm. Some of them probably have a million. They're all out there looking for a certain source of food, and one of them hits the mother lode. A maple syrup cache the size of Guatemala. And that one ant would never be able to go and tell all the other ants, hey man, having a party tonight? Got some sweet maple syrup, sweet molasses. Come on down. It's impossible. And that if you were looking at this in the ant culture and you didn't understand how pheromones work, you would insist that there's something else going on, something else weird. And that you'd be fighting over which ant actually discovered the molasses farm, which ant didn't. There'd be all these, then you'd have copyright and patent laws. And now you have this entire intricate world that's been built over, frankly, wisdom of the crowd. Frankly, a system where people just tapped into this divine intelligence. The divine intelligence happens the moment that it's witnessed. The moment you witness something, because you're quantumly entangled, right? And your face is instantly melted into everyone else's face when you see them. So you have no choice but to regulate with them, right? So by regulating with them, by doing these things, you are instantly downloading all the information they have. Here's the thing. We are living in a world where we feel we need to be cautious of something. We tell each other, hey man, I didn't mean to do it. Look, I know I ran over your kid, but I didn't mean to do it. And that's a profound place we're in. This profound place where we're only insisting that we can control the world that we are consciously aware of. That's it. That's where we are. This shows you what an infant we are. We are an infant right now when it comes to that, right? So as we grow, as we go, we're simply looking for more footholds. Where can we stick more of our belief? That's really it. That's really it. Let me see here. There's all kinds of things going on there in the chat. All right. If you guys want to come to, looks like you guys are having your own thing there. Here's my book again, if you want that. And I think I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get these books out, and hopefully you guys will get my book too. And I feel real excited about the it's not actually the sequel, it's the sequel. And at the very first part of the stream, I was telling you about how much imagination it takes to write a supernatural character. And I felt that the only way I could do it, just like my imagination 5 years ago, my imagination as a writer was about 1,500 words. And I think that it's because I've been atrophied for so long, because I've been living in a culture where everyone wants to be serious. Everyone wants to insist that there's like a universal right, and you're either off the mark or you're on the mark, and that would be the antithesis of you developing your own imagination. Which is why when you find yourself telling someone else that they're wrong, you're really just trying to cling to that majoritarian so you can, suckle off that belief some more. Which is fine. People are going to do what they're going to do, but there's we're definitely entering an age now. I hope, God, I hope, where you really just have to step away from that. If you're going to start a business, if you're going to improve yourself, if you're going to make something amazing that you've never made before, if you're going to challenge yourself, none of that stuff's going to happen by you rationally asserting that someone else has to do this first, or that there's only a one way to do it, or the critique of it all, versus just finding that leverage, and just doing it. Just really doing it. So, oh man, I'm going to have to, I don't know who it is. Man, dude, you've been asking me since yesterday, and I would have said I'm so sorry. I don't even know who that is. You should put a link, though. You should put a link. I'll let you put links on here. If it tries to stop you, let me know. But yeah, put a link. If you want someone to hear a song, guys, put a link in there. Sounds good to me. Works for me. So, all right. What else is there? I think that's it. Wait, there it is. All right. Is there anything else? Tikkun Molan. What is that guy going on about? Much Tikkun. Much greater. I appreciate you too, Tony. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Hey, this has been a good test. I appreciate the Monday test. We'll see how this takes off. See if it's right for me doing this. I'm definitely looking forward to this presentation though, and but that'll be something I'll do for my patrons anyway, so it doesn't actually require this kind of stuff. If any of you prefer to have something read to you, the book is available on audio. I'd love to hear what someone thinks about that. I didn't read it. It was auto-generated. I want to know what you think about that. So please don't be selfless with each other. I need you guys to be as self-full as you possibly can, okay? I see. There's a guy in the chat telling you be selfless. Yeah, that's about the most evil thing you could do. So let's not be selfless, guys. Let's find yourself. When you have this idea that everyone's selfless, you're just evacuating the room. Yeah, hey, Mark. Yep, you caught me. There's a little bit here. Right, there are no contracts or debts. Yeah, that's what someone who's selfless would be. You'd be demanding that you have no responsibility. I think it's important that, if you're overpowered, dollar sign, yeah, man, definitely tell people, be selfless and refuse contracts. That's good, because that's going to bring you down to the level that you need to be. So it gets tricky though when you're like, everyone else needs to be that way, Sometimes you need to debase yourself because it'll give you more confidence. And so you will show your ass. Like a lot of times it's kind of like mooning someone where you're like, I'm going to moon that person because I want to debase them. And then when you pull your ass down and you stick it out the window, then you really start to realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually debasing myself. And most people don't realize that. They actually drive away high-fiving each other like hyena, sort of like, hey, look at, right? But then when you get home at night, right, and you've told everyone to be selfless and you've told everyone there's no contracts because no one can hold you accountable for your words, when you're at home at night and you try and pray, God can't even hear you because your words don't mean anything. It's kind of, it's a rough one, It's a rough one. But struggle as you need to. Tell everyone how wrong everyone else is, because that's how you're going to find torque, man. And the more torque you have, the more you can find a better pond, A lot of ponds out there. A lot of time. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here for James True Live. Let me know what you think. Yeah. Hey, I'm glad they can't hear me. That'd be funny if they could hear me right now. All right, you guys have a beautiful one.